What is up, everyone? It is Rachel. Welcome back to my channel. And so today's video is super exciting because today we are going to be talking all about how you can meet people and make friends in college. And if you're an incoming freshman, some of these things you can get started on today to meet people before going to college. So if you're new to my channel, hello, my name is Rachel. I graduated from UC Berkeley in May 2020, where I double majored in cognitive science and legal studies. And now I'm working full-time at a law firm. And so if you are a student applying to colleges this cycle, you should definitely check out Study Hall College Consulting. It's a team of myself and other UC Berkeley students where we specialize in reviewing college application essays and consulting one-on-one with students and parents. So you should definitely check out our website and social media pages. On our website, we have a free blog where we post weekly advice, and on our social media, we also post weekly tips and tricks, so definitely check us out. So without further ado, let's get started with this video. So the first thing that you can do is to join the Class of 2025 Facebook groups for your college. So your college probably has an unofficial big Class of 2025 group on Facebook where you can join. And in these groups, people, incoming freshmen, post in there looking for roommates, introducing themselves. And it's sort of funny because all of these posts are like literally copy pasting of one another. Like everyone basically says the same thing, like, oh, I like to stay in, but also I like to go out in my free time. I like to exercise and read books and stuff like that. My music tastes are XYZ. With these little introductions, you could totally write one and post one to try to find people that might be similar to you might want to be roommates with. Or like, I didn't post anything, but you can read through other people's little introductory bios and see, oh, I think I would get along well with this person. Oh, we have the same music tastes. Let me message them. So that's how some people find their roommates before their freshman year of college. And so I had a friend from high school who went to college in Tennessee, and she actually found her roommates on her Class of 2020 Facebook pages. Or like me, I went in and did random roommates for my freshman year of college, probably similar for other colleges, but at Berkeley, you just fill out a little survey like, what time do you go to bed? What time do you wake up? How cleanly are you? Things like that. And then the housing application will pair you with someone else. So I went in with random roommates, turned out fine. I think a big misconception for freshmen is that like, okay, you need to become best friends with your roommates, which isn't really true as long as you and your roommates get along well enough that you respect each other's space, you respect each other's bedtimes and like turning off the lights, not being super loud and rude when someone is trying to sleep or study, then that's fine. You don't need to be all buddy-buddy best friends with your roommate. I went into college thinking I needed to be best friends with my roommate, like we had to color coordinate our bedding, plan out our entire dorm room, all of the cutesy things that you see in the movies, but in reality that doesn't happen, and you don't need to force that to happen to have a good college experience. So one way you can meet people is going on those Facebook pages or other internet groups for your college. So, side note, personally, I feel like I'm not maybe a big fan of meeting people online before you actually step on campus. Like I said, it works for some people, but I'll tell you a quick story if you want to see the full story. Luke and I talk about it in my graduation photo video that I'll have linked down below. But basically, Luke and I are both from Maryland. We could have met at Luke's prom in Maryland during our high school senior year, but we didn't meet. But we actually met in line at the dining hall at Berkeley's campus, and so then we became really good friends, and we've honestly said if we did meet in Maryland back before we ever went to college, we probably wouldn't have become friends. And then on the flip side of that, a mutual friend of mine actually introduced me to someone else who is going to Berkeley who is from Maryland, and we all got lunch together the summer before before college started, and then once we were on Berkeley's campus, me and the other person from Maryland, we never talked at all. So I feel like making those connections and potentially meeting people beforehand, it works sometimes, but also it doesn't work other times. Another great way to meet people is to attend your college's orientation. So a lot of colleges may have a freshman or transfer student orientation in the summer or like the week before classes begin in the fall. For Berkeley, back in the day when I was going to be a freshman, we had orientation over the summer. You would fly out to Berkeley for 3 days, do an orientation, and then they had different orientations staggered throughout the summer, and then you would go home. For me, as an out-of-state student, I didn't go to orientation because it's like, why would you make a whole trip and go out there for 3 days and then come back home? That's a lot of money kind of thing. For Berkeley now, they switched it so that orientation is the week before classes begin, which is probably a lot more accessible for out-of-state international students who live far away and can't make the trip for a weekend in the summer. So depending on how your college orientation is set up, you can definitely go to it, and through college orientation, you can meet people and potentially make friends through your orientation groups. So when I was a resident assistant, I would see, oh, Papa, hello, you want to be in the video? Yes, you can sit here. As a resident assistant, I would see firsthand how people became really, really close friends with their orientation groups. So at least at Berkeley now, for orientation, they pair you up with people who are in your same dorm floor or dorm building. So like that's really, really great because then these people aren't like random strangers that you will never see again after orientation, but they will actually be people that you meet during orientation, and then you will see them around because they live in the same dorm as you. So I think if you have an orientation set up like that, that is super great. But like I said, for my orientation, it was more of the, oh, it's so random, chances are you will never see the person again ever after orientation, then maybe it's not really worth it to spend money to go to the orientation, depending how it's set up. And I didn't go to orientation and I turned out fine. I made friends and I joined clubs. Like, not going to orientation didn't hinder me. So next, I would say that the biggest and best and easiest way to meet people and make friends would be the people on your dorm floor and in your dorm building. So like for me as an out-of-state student going to Berkeley, I didn't know anyone, so leaving my home state, going across the country, that was something that I was super nervous about like fitting in, finding friends, would I be totally alone kind of thing. But I will say, like, there is nothing to be nervous about on that front, especially the first few weeks of school. Every single other person who is new to the college is just as nervous as you are. And so I was thinking, oh, I'm an out-of-state student, I won't know anyone, everyone else will like be from California, or they might know people from high school and be friends with each other already. But actually, like, that could not be further from the truth. I feel like the first few weeks, everyone is open and wanting to meet new people because they are in the same boat as you. Even if people maybe knew other people from high school that are going to that same college, it seemed like people wanted to try to branch out. They weren't just sticking with their groups of people maybe that they knew from high school or something, but those first few weeks of school, everyone in the dorms are hanging out in the lounges, they're playing board games, poker, like introducing themselves, getting to know people. Where are you from? What do you like to do? What's your intended major? And so I would definitely say, like, push yourself out of your comfort zone and go and hang out in the lounges, talk to your neighbors those first few weeks of school, because after the first few weeks, once people have like found their routine or like found friends, then everyone sort of like shuts themselves off, and then it's like harder to like meet people and introduce yourself. Going off of that point, another great way to meet people is through your resident assistant, also known as RA, their dorm events. Throughout the school year, your RA will host a bunch of events, and they'll be hosting a ton of like get to know you events those first few weeks of school. So you should definitely go to your RA's events because they are hosting these events to try to build community on the floor. Like at Berkeley, the RA has to host a mandatory like first night in the dorm meeting, a floor meeting, so everyone can introduce themselves on the floor, and then the RA will go over the dorm rules, stuff like that. And then they'll probably host a few other events during like orientation, during the first few weeks of school, so that students get to know each other. You can get free food, a bunch of free stuff at these events, so like you should definitely go. If you don't want to meet people, just go for the free food, because it was always so sad for me as an RA when like the students wouldn't come to our events. Like the RA has a big budget to spend on the students and then no one wants the free stuff. So definitely go to the RA's events to meet people and also get free things. Another great way to meet people and make friends is to join clubs at your college. So for a lot of clubs, you probably can't join them until you're actually stepping foot on campus once classes start. And if you wanted more information about the UC Berkeley club process, I will have a video linked down below that you can check out for more info on that. But basically, joining clubs while you're in college, especially if the club is something that you're interested in, passionate about, it's like a hobby of yours, then by joining a club based around that, you are meeting people with the exact same hobby or passion as you. And so like for me, meeting other people with a similar interest as me, it's a really great way to connect and bond because you already have something in common and it's something that you hold dear. So I know applying for clubs, putting yourself out there can be very scary, but it's definitely worth it to try and go through that application process. You know, at least for Berkeley, some of the clubs are really competitive to get into and you may be rejected. I was rejected from a lot of clubs when I was applying, and even though it really sucks at the time to like put yourself out there and then to be rejected, I do think it is a valuable learning experience. Like you get to go through the interview process and practice your interviews while you're at it, even if you don't get into the club. But like my first point in this video, I would also say that you should join those class of 2025 Facebook groups and your college Facebook groups as well, because people might be advertising for their club over the summer if they want to have applications done before the school year starts. So like for me, I actually was in those Facebook groups after I was accepted to Berkeley, and over the summer before my freshman year, I actually interviewed, applied, and was accepted into a club before I ever stepped foot on Berkeley's campus. And so how I did that was people were advertising their clubs over the summer, and then I applied over the summer and was accepted over the summer. So that's a great way to get a head start if people are advertising over the summer. And then it was cool because I already knew two people, the two people who interviewed me to get into the club before stepping foot on Berkeley's campus. So definitely keep an eye out on those Facebook groups. Another way to meet people is in your classes. And so depending on the kind of college you go to, you might have small class sizes or you might have larger class sizes. And I would definitely say the first few weeks of class at the beginning of each new semester is the best time to meet people and make a friend in your class. Similar to like the dorm life after the first few weeks, in classes once people make friends or find their groups, or even after the first few weeks, like for classes that I didn't have friends in, like I didn't talk to anyone ever, so like then after the first few weeks, chances are people are going to be in their groove, they're not going to be talking to new people. So basically when the class starts, maybe you sit next to someone on the first day, especially freshman year, maybe you introduce yourself to them, or maybe like for me in discussion sections, we would always get paired up to do group work, and then in the groups we would usually like exchange numbers or add each other on Facebook so that we became a little like study group within the larger class. But I would say for a lot of the people that I've met in classes, it was more of like a class acquaintanceship relationship because we didn't really hang out outside of the class and like we haven't hung out since the class kind of thing. So those kinds of friendships might be more like class relationships. So definitely study groups is a great way to have someone in the class to talk to text, to ask questions about the homework or when the exam is, and those are very beneficial. So I highly recommend taking that step and finding people to create a study group with. So another great way to meet people is if you get an on-campus job. So typically if you're having an on-campus job, a lot of your coworkers are going to be fellow students, so they know what you're going through. through. You can relate to them because you're working together all the time and you're both students. So like for me, with my 3 jobs on campus, I was a campus ambassador, also known as tour guide. I was a resident assistant, RA, and I was a hiring and training coordinator for residential life. So in all 3 of these jobs, I was working alongside other students, and because you all work together and see each other at work shifts and stuff like that, you become very, very close with these other students. And so some of my closest college friends were people that I met while being an RA and being a hiring and training coordinator. So, you know, getting a job is doubly good because first, you make money, and second, you can meet people. Similarly, another great way to meet people is through your mutual friends. You know, maybe you're invited to lunch with someone you know and they're bringing a friend, and then you get to meet that friend, and then you all become friends, and then you become a friend group. Or maybe you get invited to like a party or a social get together, and then you can meet the people that your friend knows. And so that's a really great way to meet more people and expand your circles. I know for me, like I've met a ton of people through mutual friends, or maybe you have a friend who knows someone that's taking the same class as you next semester or is in the same class as you, and then your friend connects you two, and then you have an instant like study partner, study buddy. Like that is also a great way to like meet new people and form connections. And finally, another way to meet people is online. And so like be careful of stranger danger, but like I've mentioned, those Facebook groups are great. Online on sites like Reddit for your college, those are great places. I've seen on the Facebook groups and on Reddit people right now trying to meet new people and have socially distanced hangouts. They're posting on Reddit and Facebook like, hey, I'm looking for a hiking buddy, and like I don't really know anyone here yet who wants to go hiking, and then a ton of people actually comment like, hey, yo, I'm down to go also. Or people I've seen are like, oh, hey, I'm looking for a tennis partner who wants to come play tennis this Saturday. People will comment like, yo, I play tennis, let's play. So posting on Facebook or Reddit or any other online sites like that is a great way to meet people as well if you have some kind of like activity that you want someone else to do with you. And so yeah, those are some ways on how you can meet people and make friends in college. So definitely let me know if you have any questions down below. As always, thank you all so much for watching. It really does mean a lot. Make sure you like this video to help me out with the YouTube algorithm, and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more. I post every single Sunday and Wednesday at 11 a.m. Eastern. So I will see you all next time.